The Sceptic, by David Hume. Continued. We have already observed that no objects are, in themselves, desirable or odious, valuable or despicable, but that objects acquire these qualities from the particular character and constitution of the mind, which surveys them. To diminish, therefore, or augment any person's value for an object, to excite or moderate his passions, there are no direct arguments or reasons which can be employed with any force or influence. The catching of flies, like Domitian, if it give more pleasure, is preferable to the hunting of wild beasts, like William Rufus, or conquering of kingdoms, like Alexander. But though the value of every object can be determined only by the sentiment or passion of every individual, we may observe that the passion, in pronouncing its verdict, considers not the object simply as it is in itself, but surveys it with all the circumstances which attend it. A man transported with joy, on account of his possessing a diamond, confines not his view to the glistering stone before him. He also considers its rarity, and thence chiefly arises his pleasure and exultation. Here, therefore, a philosopher may step in and suggest particular views and considerations and circumstances, which otherwise would have escaped us, and by that means he may either moderate or excite any particular passion. It may seem unreasonable absolutely to deny the authority of philosophy in this respect, but it must be confessed that there lies this strong presumption against it, that if these views be natural and obvious, they would have occurred of themselves, without the assistance of philosophy. If they be not natural, they never can have any influence on the affections. These are of a very delicate nature, and cannot be forced or constrained by the utmost art or industry. A consideration which we seek for on purpose, which we enter into with difficulty, which we cannot retain without care and attention, will never produce those genuine and durable movements of passion which are the result of nature and the constitution of the mind. A man may as well pretend to cure himself of love by viewing his mistress through the artificial medium of a microscope or prospect, and beholding there the coarseness of her skin and monstrous disproportion of her features, as hope to excite or moderate any passion by the artificial arguments of a Seneca or an Epictetus. The remembrance of the natural aspect and situation of the object will, in both cases, still recur upon him. The reflections of philosophy are too subtle and distant to take place in common life, or eradicate any affection. The air is too fine to breathe in, where it is above the winds and clouds of the atmosphere. Another defect of those refined reflections, which philosophy suggests to us, is, that commonly they cannot diminish or extinguish our vicious passions, without diminishing or extinguishing such as are virtuous, and rendering the mind totally indifferent and unactive. They are, for the most part, general, and are applicable to all our affections. In vain do we hope to direct their influence only to one side. If by incessant study and meditation we have rendered them intimate and present to us, they will operate throughout and spread an universal insensibility over the mind. When we destroy the nerves, we extinguish the sense of pleasure, together with that of pain, in the human body. It will be easy by one glance of the eye to find one or other of these defects in most of those philosophical reflections, so much celebrated both in ancient and modern times. Let not the injuries or violence of men, say the philosophers, ever discompose you by anger or hatred. Would you be angry at the ape for its malice, or the tiger for its ferocity? This reflection leads us into a bad opinion of human nature, and must extinguish the social affections. It tends also to prevent all remorse for a man's own crimes, when he considers that vice is as natural to mankind as the particular instincts to brute creatures. All ills arise from the order of the universe, which is absolutely perfect, Would you wish to disturb so divine an order for the sake of your own particular interest? What if the ills I suffer arise from malice or oppression? But the vices and imperfections of men are also comprehended in the order of the universe. If plagues and earthquakes break not heaven's design, why then a Borgia or a Catiline? Let this be allowed, and my own vices will also be a part of the same order. To one who said that none were happy, who were not above opinion, a Spartan replied, "Then none are happy but knaves and robbers." Man is born to be miserable, and is he surprised at any particular misfortune? And can he give way to sorrow and lamentation upon account of any disaster? Yes, he very reasonably laments that he should be born to be miserable. Your consolation presents 100 ills for one, of which you pretend to ease him. You should always have before your eyes death, disease, poverty, blindness, exile, calumny, and infamy as ills which are incident to human nature. If any one of these ills falls to your lot, you will bear it the better when you have reckoned upon it. I answer, if we confine ourselves to a general and distant reflection on the ills of human life, that can have no effect to prepare us for them. If by close and intense meditation we render them present and intimate to us, that is the true secret for poisoning all our pleasures and rendering us perpetually miserable. Your sorrow is fruitless and will not change the course of destiny. Very true, and for that very reason I am sorry. Cicero's consolation for deafness is somewhat curious. How many languages are there, says he, which you do not understand? The Punic, Spanish, Gallic, Egyptian, etc. With regard to all these, you are as if you were deaf, yet you are indifferent about the matter. Is it then so great a misfortune to be deaf to one language more? I like better the repartee of Antipater the Cyrenaic, when some women were condoling with him for his blindness. What, says he, do you think there are no pleasures in the dark? Nothing can be more destructive, says Fontenelle, to ambition and the passion for conquest than the true system of astronomy. What a poor thing is even the whole globe in comparison of the infinite extent of nature. This consideration is evidently too distant ever to have any effect. Or, if it had any, would it not destroy patriotism as well as ambition? The same gallant author adds with some reason that the bright eyes of the ladies are the only objects, which lose nothing of their luster or value from the most extensive views of astronomy, but stand proof against every system. Would philosophers advise us to limit our affection to them? Exile, says Plutarch to a friend in banishment, is no evil. Mathematicians tell us that the whole earth is but a point compared to the heavens. To change one's country then is little more than to remove from one street to another. Man is not a plant, rooted to a certain spot of earth. All soils and all climates are alike suited to him. These topics are admirable, could they fall only into the hands of banished persons. But what if they come also to the knowledge of those who are employed in public affairs, and destroy all their attachment to their native country? Or will they operate like the quack's medicine, which is equally good for a diabetes and a dropsy? Thank you for listening. Until next time, pleasant dreams.